Lights max, loading plays like he's drawn the plan. Kinetik bringing fire like he's leading the band. No matter the game, no matter the sport, we running this pod like it's fourth and short. Press start, lock in, it's game time again. You tune in live to the Sideline show with Kinetik and Lights Max. Let's go, the Gamer Sideline starts now.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Eric, Kinetik 615, whatever one you want to use. Coming to you with a sort of an impromptu video tonight. We will be joined later in the video by our guy Lichmax, and we'll be opening it up for calls if people want to call in and talk about it. But the point of the video tonight was that I wanted to share something that I've recently been going over with. So with everything going on with the portal, with NIL and college football, you know, I've been having a lot of conversations with people, other fans, even some athletes. And it just feels like in a lot of ways, college football is broken right now. I think a lot of people carry that same sentiment. It feels like, you know, it's not the sport that we all grew up with, that we grew to love. It's not the passion, the sport that we got so passionate about growing up, watching kids come from high school, going through with one team all the way to the NFL, watching their journey. And it just feels like it's also untenable. With the way that the transfer portal, NIL, you know, NIL was originally supposed to be supplemental sponsorship style deals, not pay to play. And that's what it's become, because there are no rules against it. Every time that the NCAA has tried to put in place rules and regulations about NIL earnings and transfer, you know, limitations, it gets struck down in court under antitrust laws. And so I started trying to figure out, you know, what are the options? Where can we go? How can we fix college football? And I started doing some research. I started loading some of the research, the things I was finding, into ChatGPT, and sort of just exploring it, going through it that way, and seeing what sort of came of it. And what I actually ended up with, once I did all of that and started having this conversation, if you will, with ChatGPT about this, the information that it gave back seemed very compelling. And when in conversations, sharing it with other people, they suggested that this is something that people might want to hear about. So that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm going to go through, I'm literally just going to read through the results of the delving into the topic that I've done with AI. I'm going to read that here live on the channel. This part will be cut up and put out as an independent video as well. But then we're going to bring up Lichmax after I get done with it, hear his thoughts. And then if people in the chat want to, we'll be more than happy to put the link in the chat for people to call in and discuss it. And then we can also, you know, move on beyond that to discussing, you know, current events in college football, you know, transfer portal news, obviously Michigan fans. If we want to jump on and talk about what's going on with that, we can. But so I'm just going to read through this, what I came back with from the research that I've been doing with the help of AI. I'm just going to read through it, and you know, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Happy to answer them once I get to the end of this. So, all right. So just again, reading this straight from ChatGPT. It says the short answer to all these questions is that there are real legal roadblocks, but none of them are fatal. A CBA is hard, politically messy, and uneven across states. It is absolutely achievable without a congressional bailout, though Congress could make it cleaner. All right. So the first part, it says the core legal question: can college athletes be employees? Okay. So private universities, yes, this is already possible. For private schools such as USC, Stanford, Notre Dame, etc., the National Labor Relations Act, the NLRA, already applies. Employees can unionize, and CBAs are legal and enforceable. The key precedent here with the NLRA NLRB is the General Counsel memo from 2021, for example, said that scholarship athletes should be considered employees. There was a Northwestern case in 2015, and it's noted that it did not say no. It just said we decline jurisdiction for now, sort of kicking the can down the road, right? So the door for this, everything we're about to go through, is wide open as it stands today. Why are we not walking through that door? We'll actually get into it a little bit here later into this, but I'm just going to go in order here for what came back in my questioning with the Chat GPT bot. So public universities are different from the private universities. It's going to be more complicated, but it's not impossible. Public schools are governed by state labor law, not federal. This means that some states, so that the laws are going to differ from state to state, and some states already allow public employee unionization, but others prohibit or restrict it. Some states would require legalization in order to allow athlete unions. This creates fragmentation, but it's not quite a dead end. So the second part of this, it says the state versus private school problem is real, but it is solvable. So you can't easily have one league, one CBA, but have it fall under two different labor law regimes from school to school. So here's how, again, this is according to ChatGPT through the conversation that I had with it, how it gets solved. The league, not the NCAA, becomes the employer. So NFL teams, for example, are private entities, but stadiums and funding vary from team to team. The MLS, Major League Soccer, has a single entity structure. Minor League Baseball operates across public and private contexts. So in what would be like a power league model, the conference or the new league would employ the players directly. They would not be employed to the team or the school. They would be employed by the league. Okay. So the conference or new league employs the players. Schools license branding and facilities, and this bypasses the state-by-state employment chaos. This is already legally viable and has precedent. Okay. Now, some you'll hear some places that in order to do this, we have to get a congressional antitrust exemption. Now, I'm not a lawyer. There's other people that watch this channel even that can actually speak on the legal side of it more than I can. Again, this is just reading what I was able to sort of uncover. So, strictly speaking, no, we don't need a congressional antitrust exemption. A CBA itself creates an antitrust shield under the non-statutory labor exemption. That's how leagues like the NFL, the NBA, or et cetera, avoid antitrust lawsuits. So once you have employees, a union, and a negotiated CBA, you can legally have salary caps, transfer rules, and contract limits. No congressional exemption is required for that part. Where Congress could help, it's not mandatory, but they could help the process, is that they could clarify athlete employment status nationwide and harmonize the public and private labor rules. That would preempt conflicting state NIL laws, and it would grant limited antitrust protection to transitional rules. Okay, so this would also reduce litigation risk, and it would not create legality from nothing. The real roadblock is incentives, not law. Okay, the biggest barrier isn't legality; it's no one wants to be the first one to do it. So this on the school's end, they fear from doing this process. The part of it that they don't want to broach is that they then would have be subject to employment taxes, workers' comp, Title IX implications, and losing the student label. Okay. On the player side, they would fear losing transfer freedom, NIL upside, and the union leadership not representing the stars. Okay. The conferences, then, the third part of this, the conferences would have to fear fragmentation, litigation during the transition period, and political backlash. So at every level, the schools, the players, and the conferences themselves, everybody's kind of waiting for somebody else to be the first one to walk through the door. They don't want to be the first ones to go through and have to deal with all the legal issues of that path. So the next part is I tried to figure out, how do we actually get to a CBA from this point? What would the steps actually look like to get there? So here's, according to ChatGPT, a realistic chain reaction. Step one would be one private school conference unionizes. So it would be like a private heavy league, like the Pac-12 remnants, ACC privates, or a breakaway of sorts. Once that happens, in that league, they would be the first ones to have salary caps that would become legal. Transfers would stabilize there, and you would have the competitive imbalance shifts would not be as prevalent. Step two, competitive pressure from that league then forces others to jump into it. So then public schools would push legislatures. They would, then they would have the narrative that we can't compete unless you let us do this. That's how state law changes. State law changes usually happen for cases like this. Step three, a new national power league forms. This would be then a mix of the public and private schools. Central employer structure would, like we mentioned earlier, where the league itself would employ the players. So then the players would have a single players association and then would be able to have and implement a CBA. The NCAA then becomes irrelevant for the top level of football. It would still exist for the bottom, 40 schools, but the top like 60 or 70 would be in this power league. The irony is that a CBA, despite the fears of the players, a CBA would actually help the players more than the current system. So right now, players have freedom, but they have zero security. Under a CBA, they would then gain guaranteed pay, medical coverage, injury protection, pension and education funds, and transparent NIL rules that were easy to understand, and everybody was able to abide by the same set of rules. Some of the top end stars, like the 1-2% of top end players, might lose a little bit of upside, but 90% of the players would benefit. And that's why CBAs usually pass in professional leagues. So the bottom line is that the path is messy. State schools do complicate things, and Congress could smooth it out. But a CBA is legally possible today without congressional action. It just requires structural courage. The system that we're worried about doesn't collapse because it's illegal. It collapses because it refuses to evolve. Okay. So then I went on to talk more about what it's actually broken and why we need to get to a CBA. Okay. So the NIL donor model is currently structurally weak, right? So if it goes as with the way that it's going now, boosters are not going to continue buying equity. This is closer to burn rate spending than it is investment. There's no revenue sharing upside. It's not tax deductible, and performance return on investment is indirect and short-lived. Transfers then make player loyalty almost meaningless. And once the novelty of the newness of the NIL system and the transfers sort of fades away, you're going to have fans are going to lose interest. Donors are then going to reduce spending. They're going to start demanding accountability, and they're going to start to redirect money elsewhere, such as facilities, coaching buyouts, and towards pro teams. This is textbook bubble behavior. So, I mentioned the fans are going to lose interest, right? The roster churn kills fan attachment to the schools. I've seen this, especially over the last couple of weeks. The number of conversations I've had with other fans that are telling me that they're losing interest. It's hard to follow. It's upsetting to them that they get invested with these players and with the team, and there's no continuity with them. So, the fans don't really emotionally invest in one-year mercenaries. The constant depth chart reshuffling and players, they just learned their name and their skill set and got excited watching them last year are now gone. College football's value has always been the continuity and identity. Unlimited transfers just erode that faster than almost anything else. So the NCAA's old tools are legally dead. This is what I was talking about earlier with how the courts have kind of struck down every time that the NCAA has tried to put guardrails on this. So most simple fixes fail because of antitrust laws, not bad ideas. The rules that were in place have all already either been weakened or completely struck down. Anything that has to do with transfer restrictions, NIL caps, compensation limits, they're tied to eligibility. The case is basically if coaches and schools can make unlimited money, you can't artificially restrict players. That's the legal reality from it. And to get to a CBA, people kind of ignore the whole CBA thing, and you hear people throw out like quick fixes on social media all the time. You hear people talk about, one free transfer, and then any transfers after that, they have to sit a year. That doesn't work unless the players are classified as employees, and then that part is collectively bargained. It doesn't work. The NCAA, imposing NIL like salary caps. Any unfettered cap is effectively a guaranteed loss of a lawsuit for the NCAA, and that's what they've been dealing with for the last few years. So, unless players agree to it via collective bargaining, the courts are going to see it as effectively price fixing. And the salary cap option only really works if there's a defined league where the players are employees. That's the only way, as I said earlier, that you get to collective bargaining. So again, you would have to get to that point, you would have to see the power league that I mentioned earlier sort of come together with like the top 40 to 70 programs. And again, players have to become employees. Revenue sharing has to replace the donor collectives. NIL would then be able to become supplementary and not the primary source of income sustaining college football. And then the contracts, once you have the CBA, you can have contracts of 2 to 3 years, with performance incentives and buyout structure if you need to. However, it's, bargained into that allow you to sort of re-implement the continuity and consistency that we miss in college football. So the process would likely go like we already have cut down to basically a power 4. You'll see us go to what's been rumored, the power 2, with the Big Ten and the SEC, with those expanding, and that will basically beget the Super League. And everyone else outside of those top 40 to 70 schools would still basically remain or retain their amateurish label and would be independent of the power league. And then that's how we get to the collective bargaining agreement. Once the players are employees, that opens up a lot more to become possible. So at that point, we can have transfer limits, contract lengths, NIL disclosure rules, spending controls, eligibility standards across all schools and teams. And again, the schools, might not want all of that, but it's going to become a reality that they're going to need to do it. Otherwise, this bubble of the donor model of of powering the NIL, it's going to burst. It's not going to continue. But the irony of this is that it actually gives the athletes more long-term protection and reduces the chaos of the current model. So the contracts at that point would replace the open transfer, the year-to-year free agency, instead of the city year rule, like you hear thrown out, which sounds good when it's mentioned, but it just doesn't really hold up legally. But you would then, instead of that, you would have 1 to 3 year player contracts with the schools, with the teams. They would have buyouts or release clauses. The portal windows would be tied to contract expiration, and then the guarantee, and instead of being tied to the school semesters and stuff like that. And then you would have for every player, you would have guaranteed minimum level of compensation. So that would sort of mirror like the soccer leagues more than the NFL. But again, there's already the legal precedent for it. And then the NIL shifts, like I said, the NIL would shift from donors to a market-based model where the revenue, like you would have revenue pool distributions that would be more even. You'd have performance incentive bonuses. You'd have local sponsorships, like actual sponsorships, not these collectives. The collectives sponsorships. And then you would have school managed NIL clearinghouses to be able to approve it. In this case, boosters, they wouldn't just like disappear, but they'll stop underwriting entire college football rosters. The sad part of it for me is that I don't think that this is going to happen until the bubble bursts. I think that I don't see schools or the conferences pushing any of this through until ticket sales drop, TV contracts start losing value, and it just becomes untenable. The donors stop donating at such a high rate. But at that point, hopefully once we were to implement all of this and go down this, path, fans would then re-engage once the roster's stabilized. Because at that point, you would have players that would stay for 2 to 3 years on contracts. The contracts would be legally viable, and it would be marketed by the schools themselves. At that point, fans would be able to regain the familiarity with the rosters and the players. They would be able to safely invest their emotions into the team again, and the continuity of the sport would come back. And again, so it's a kind of ironic that for years we've fought against the college game becoming professional sports, but in this case, at this point, with what we've got now, professionalizing it would actually save a lot of the college feel, as far as, like I said, the emotional investment, the narrative continuity, stuff like that. So, but ultimately, the hard truth is that there's no version of fixing it where NIL stays unlimited, where transfers stay unlimited, where donors stay irrationally generous as they have been in the last few years, and where fans stay deeply engaged. Something with this has to give. So the most realistic path is less NCAA control, more labor structure, fewer schools at the top. It won't look like old college football, but the current version isn't sustainable either, and it no longer looks like old college football either. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I just felt like this needed to be shared and talked about, like Keegan said in the chat. So I just wanted to come on here and share that with you guys and open it up for conversation. So now we can bring Lichamax up if he wants to come up and give his thoughts on it. If anyone in the comments wants to come on and talk about it, or if you just want to talk college football, Michigan Wolverines, you want to talk transfer portal, we can do that as well. If you call in and we don't know you well, you have to have your camera on when you're backstage so that we can see that it's a legitimate call and not a troll. We're not trying to get kicked off of YouTube because people want to play games. So, but if you want to call in, put it in the chat. And Lichmax, if you're backstage, if you want to come up and give your thoughts real quick. He's not hiding, Ripstar. Although he may not be at his computer right now. Let me go through the comments real quick while we wait for Lichmax to wake up here. So we had Daryl Moore in the chat. Appreciate you, Zan Prods. Yeah, Michigan fan, definitely go blue. Appreciate the call for sub, Big Con. Ripstar, of course. Ripstar, we're not monetized. We're not a big enough channel, and I'm not really doing it for that. As you know, my situation, I do have the GoFundMe. If anyone wants to donate to the channel, there my my GoFundMe is in the corner with that QR code. It should also be in the description, but you're welcome to use that as well. All right, we got Ripstar sort of talking about what I was going over. So he says, I'm sorry, hold on. We got Zoe. Shout out Zoe in the house. Skull Vikes, go blue. Ripstar saying closest to collective bargaining in 2014, Northwestern football players attempted to unionize. The case reached the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB. NLRB declined to rule, not because players weren't employees, but to avoid disrupting college sports. This was the first and only formal union attempt by a college football team. The Big Ten and SEC are quietly building the CBA-like systems already. You're right, and that's the College Sports Committee or the CSC, whatever it's called. Shout out to Keegan in the chat. Ripstar says, fastest way to get to collective bargaining now. One, private schools, players file with the NLRB using the Dartmouth precedent. Forces employee status and bargaining. Two, power conference players form a unified players association, present non-negotiable demands, revenue share, health, transfer rules. A lot of this is, mirroring what I said here. But again, I'm not the end all be all of knowledge on this. This is just something that I've been looking into here recently. Apply economic pressure, coordinated refusal to play media bowls until terms are negotiated. Players need to pressure boycott and lockout. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of that's the same stuff. Similar stuff we're going. We got the Kinetik on board. What's going on there?
Hey, yeah. So I'm on board with bringing the implementing something like the like a union of sorts for the players to that way it kind of can help stabilize the ridiculous NIL era we're in. Like, I like the NIL for the fact that it does give teams a chance to get players they normally may not have had a chance to. But at the same point, I think that we definitely need to have something like what the NFL does when it comes to spending on players and kind of what's the word?
Like regulate the
salary cap? Regulate the salaries of the players, because it's crazy. It's crazy the amount that they spend on some players versus others. Like, you could get like a kicker might get like 60,000 a year. I know that's not like the median, but it's just an example. Like, a kicker might get 60,000, but like a center might get over $1 million and NIL deals. Like, I get it. Their positions are completely different, but the name rec impact is vastly different. Like specifically, like looking at Michigan, I couldn't tell you who our center is. But I can tell you who Zavada is. I know Zavada because he saved us in the 2024 season. I don't know where he was for the 2025 season. Yeah, no, I don't know a lot of the linemen, man. Like, I know Link because we talked about him, but yeah, when it comes to linemen, I couldn't tell you who from who for the most part. But when it comes to like the positions that we hear the names of, like Jordan Marshall, Haynes, Underwood, McCulley, Marshall, like, you hear those names. You don't hear a lot of like the linemen, but when it comes to like the NL deals,
So
they get crazy even when nobody really even knows who they are. You know what I mean?
right. So to answer this question here from Todd, I'm not saying that you cap the money that they're allowed to earn. Okay. Look at the NFL. They have a salary cap structure for the teams to normalize the amount that a team can spend from basically revenue sharing. The coaches' contracts are separate from that. What's also separate from that is what NIL is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like supplemental sponsorship deals. And I'm not saying to cap that, but there needs to be a salary cap in the sense of some sort of regulation to keep the playing field open instead of just constantly like highest bidder year in, year out free agency.
Right.
And Keegan's asking for the link. Are we ready to put that in there?
I mean, we've been ready since you finished talking, but yeah, I can post it.
I got it. Okay, you got it. Fine. Let's see.
Keegan said, Ripstar for AD.
Yeah, Ripstar. We're not getting political here. It's not as cut and dry, and we're not trying to make this a political thing. This is talking about what we need to do to fix the current state of college football. And I am in agreement with CBAs, and that's what this video is about: is how to get to a CBA.
Right. It's not communism, Ripstar.
No, it's not. Collectively bargaining is not. It's collectivism. It's not communism.
I mean,
and while those two things are often
lead to,
well, they're often associated, but you can have collectivism without communism. But let's see. Yeah, so I did say in the spiel that I did earlier before we open it up for comments and calls, Todd, that the system that would eventually effectively look more like soccer league, not the NFL, but it's a viable system with already with precedent. I'm not saying everything would be completely fair. If you're a larger market school or team, a bigger brand, you're going to be able to garner more sponsorship deals for the players that play for you. But that doesn't mean you can't have, I mean, they already have a soft cap on revenue sharing of like 20.5 million or whatever for the athletic departments across all schools. This would just be to build upon that.
I guess he's not coming up.
Who's not coming? Keegan, or who's going to come up?
You said Keegan wanted the.
I know he said he wanted the link, but he hasn't come backstage. But all right, so until someone wants to come up, I mean, do you have any other thoughts on that, or do you want to talk about Michigan's portal?
I mean, we can go through the portal. I don't really have much more to comment on that other than I think we definitely need to move towards like a CBA. I think that's a good idea. But I mean, without drastic changes, it's going to be hard. And I also think that we definitely should split the league into two between Group of Five and Power, especially when it comes to the playoffs. Like, I'm fully in favor of that, of splitting those. And then when it comes to the Power playoffs, you could still include a group team if they win their playoffs. They could do their playoffs earlier than ours, or have it in tandem, and the winner of that one, I don't know. We could figure it out, but either way, I still think it should be a separate playoffs for Power Four and Group of Five. Maybe the Group of Five goes first, and then the Power goes, and then the winner of the Group of Five natty goes into the the Power natty as like the last spot.
Okay, but so the only thing is though that's gonna fix itself, because when we move to the Power Two, you're gonna see the Big Ten and SEC expand. We'll bring more of the top schools into the Big Two. And then when it goes to the Power League, again, as I said earlier, it'll be like the top 40 to 70 schools. Effectively, there will be no more G5. It will be the top 40 or so schools, top 50, 60 schools, whatever. The rest of the, quote, G5 would then still be under the NCAA, and they would still be the true amateur league. And this new Power League would be sort of like a semi-pro league that would be tied to schools.
We have Keegan entered the chat.
Yeah, this chat just got a lot more boring.
What do you think about this? What are your thoughts?
So, well, that was an extensive breakdown, and I missed quite a bit of it. So I think it would be good to do like a very short breakdown, like a first grader breakdown of what collective bargaining is and why that would be a potential answer. Does anybody feel comfortable taking that?
Well, I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, so I would have to continue the thread with ChatGPT, but I can punch that in and give you what it says if you want. We'll just take
that's a good idea. Yeah. Because I think we get caught in the weeds with, like, we all know that there should be an answer, and I don't think anybody really knows.
So here's the definition of CBA. It is a legally binding written contract between a labor union representing employees and an employer established through negotiation that sets the terms and conditions of employment covering wages, hours, benefits, safety, and grievance procedures for a specific period, ensuring fair treatment and a structured process for resolving workplace issues. So essentially, it's an employment contract.
Kind of. So I'll give a simple term and then I'll read what it came back with just now in relation to the conversation that we just had. So look at the NFL. They have the NFL Players Association that all of the it's a union. All of the players pay dues into the players union, and then they elect the head of the players union, and every so many years they literally negotiate with the league about like things for the players to be included in contracts and sort of, you know, when the league wants to go to 19 games, well, then they got to make concessions to the players for, you know, for different things, higher pay, incentives, different things like that. So, I just, again, building on the conversation that I read through earlier with ChatGPT, I said, explain in easy to understand terms exactly what a CBA is and how it applies here. And this is what it says. And I'm just reading this off. I haven't pre-read this. So it says, a collective bargaining agreement is a contract between workers and their employer that sets the rules for how the job works. Instead of every worker negotiating alone, they act together through a union. Think of it like this. Employees equal the players. Employer is the league or schools acting together. The union is the players association. And the CBA is the rule book that all three agree to. Once it's signed, both sides are legally bound to it. The CBA, what does it actually control? So in pro sports, CBAs control almost everything that fans argue about. So things like how much players can be paid, salary caps, how long contracts last, free agency and transfer rules, revenue sharing, healthcare and injury protection, practice limits. So like in the NFL, it is so down to like the minute when teams are able to like have practices, require players, or have voluntary workouts throughout the offseason. Like that's what it means by practice limits, discipline rules, roster sizes, drafts, trade rules, stuff like that. So things that would be illegal for an employer to impose alone become legal once the players agree to them in a CBA. It says, why is CBA so important for college football? Right now, college football has no employer to employee relationship, no union, no CBA. Schools basically make up rules on their own, and each one is regulated by different rules state to state. That's why every restriction gets sued and overturned. So like if the NCAA currently says you can't transfer freely, the court says that's illegal. That's a legal restraint of trade. the CBA then gives you protection from that because it's agreed to by both parties into a contract. But if players are employees, if players vote through a union and the players agree to the limits, then those same rules become legal. And then it says without a CBA today, any cap on an AL is illegal. Any transfer restriction equals a lawsuit. Donors run wild and players move like totally freely without any guardrails. With a CBA, it would impose contract lengths of 2 to 3 years, transfer windows, buyouts instead of free exits, team salary caps, and minimum pay guarantees. Because the players agree to it, the courts then allow it.
Okay, so we've kind of narrowed down what it is and what maybe the benefits of doing it would be. So, what are the downsides to doing it? And then is there another alternative that would also work?
Nothing really works without a CBA. Because until there's a CBA, everything's going to get put into court and struck down under antitrust. But what was the other? So the problem, the only downside to it long term. So there's a lot of downside during the transition period from what we have now to the CBA. Once we actually have it, the only real downside is the top 10% of players will have slightly lower upsides that they can earn. But the other 90% have better earning potential, and all of them are more protected the entire way.
Yeah. Do you got anything, Glitch Max?
I mean, I don't really see another great option for it. I mean, we can't really impose like salary caps in a traditional sense when it comes to by team to team, but a CBA would kind of give us an idea of being able to like kind of balance out the salaries that are handed out, so we don't have like a walk-on who somehow makes $2 million and a backup quarterback who makes 60,000, for example. These are just examples. I don't think this actually happened, but with a CBA, it would kind of balance everything out because you'd be getting paid by position, and it would make sense rather than just someone who's just there for the special teams and nothing else, making more than like potentially your quarterback who does literally everything on the offensive side of the field. Not everything, but you know what I mean. He's the keystone player for the offensive side of the field. So a CBA would help with that, along with giving smaller schools potentially a chance to even like start moving their way up in the brackets and being able to actually pick up some actual players and not just picking up what's left after the power schools get their picks out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the content because it's conversation to work towards a solution. So, like, I'm not trying to, like, corner anyone or anything. I encouraged Kinetik to do this video and start this conversation just based on our previous conversation. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm just kind of speculating as I go. So I'll be honest, I didn't listen to most of when Kinetik was talking when I was sitting backstage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just kind of understanding the gist of it, that's kind of where my thoughts are on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to, like, kind of think about what the downside is to it. So if you do a collective bargaining agreement, everyone's professional at that point, right? Is that correct?
Well,
in a sense, yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of subjective, but they would be employees.
Yeah.
The one part that I'm not sure of, and again, if somebody in the chat knows this part more, please put it in the chat. Would would they still be able to, if they're employees of the league, not of the school? So I think that's a distinction as well. Would they still be student athletes? Like they wouldn't be amateur student athletes. They wouldn't be amateur athletes. It would almost be like a pro or semi-pro league. But would they retain? Would they still be student athletes enrolled at the schools, or would that be like an optional thing where some of them are, some of them aren't, and the scholarship can be rolled into part of their compensation, or does it completely break from the student athlete model? That's something I don't know, and I can put it into Chat GPT if someone wants. But
so in my mind, thinking about it, it would have to be either or. You would either have to be part of, if you're going to join, if that school has agreed into the CBA and to be part of that league, then and you go to that school, you would not be a student athlete, so your grades wouldn't be tied to your play time. However, if the school hasn't been tied to a CBA, then you would be a student athlete. So I think that's kind of where it is. Like if the school is enrolled in the CBA program and they're part of that CBA league, then I don't think your players would be considered student athletes at that point. They would be considered employed athletes or whatever, however you put it, but they wouldn't be student athletes. So I think in that case, they would have to roll their. I think they would potentially have to roll their scholarship in as part of the compensation package when they sign up for that program. But Ripstar has said something.
See, so Ripstar says employees of who, or no, I'm sorry. Okay, going back there.
Start from the top. Upside of a CBA in college sports and NIL. Players get fair pay, not just stars. Clear rules for NIL money, better health and injury protection. Fewer surprise or rule changes. Players have a real voice, not just school deciding. Employees of who, most likely the conference or a new sports organization, not the school, still student athletes. Yes, they'd be students and paid workers at the same time.
Right, and so I did punch
with that.
I did punch that into ChatGPT again to build on the conversation. I basically said what I just mentioned. I said, would players be employees? Being employees separate the athlete from being students, or if they were employed by the league, would they still be students? Would it be optional, a scholarship as part of their compensation? How would that work? This is what it says. It says, this is actually a great question because it gets at a huge misconception. It says being an employee does not automatically mean you stop being a student. The two things can coexist, and in fact, they already do all over college campuses. So it says an employee is not being a student. It says right now universities already have thousands of student employees, grad assistants for teaching and research, resident assistants, campus IT workers, dining hall staff, athletic department interns. They are already enrolled as students. They get paid wages. They sometimes get tuition waivers, benefits, and sometimes unionize. And no one says, well, they aren't students anymore. So there's already legal precedent for a practical setup for the student athletes to be employees and still be students.
Yeah, I take that back. Go ahead, Kinetik.
Well, it says there's two realistic models, and this distinction matters. So the first model would be the school is the employer, at which point a player is a student at the university. The player is also an employee of the athletic department, similar to a graduate assistant. This gives simple conceptually, and it's directly tied to the school. But the drawback of that is the state labor differences. So if there's different state for the public universities, if there's different state labor laws, then it's going to be different from school to school. And then that brings in Title IX applications or complications, payroll taxes at each school, which are going to be different. And then there'll be political resistance at public universities. So it says this model is legally possible, but it's more messy than the other one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're doing good.
So the second model is that, and this is what I discussed earlier, is that the league would be the employer. So the player is an employee of a football league. The player is enrolled as a student at the university. The school then licenses facilities, branding, and enrollment to the league. So you think of it like this: you attend the university, but your football job is with the league. This avoids a lot of the legal landmines, and players would still be students, but there's flexibility. So then, under the CBA, the league and the players would define student status, and this would have different options. So it could be full-time enrollment, part-time enrollment, or even deferred enrollment, where they get their enrollment status, but they can defer it till after they get done playing in the league, after their eligibility for the athletic league finishes. Then they could go back to school under their scholarship, and then there would be degree. They could get their degree completed, completion guarantees at a later date. This already happens in Olympic sports, graduate programs, military academies, and pro athletes that return to school in their off season if they left early for the pros. And then it says education could be part of the compensation, but it would be like a benefit. They could not be a condition of employment. So instead of you must be a student to play, it becomes education as part of your total compensation package. That might include tuition and fees covered, cost of attendance stipend, guaranteed degrees completion for later, post-career education fund, and graduate school coverage. It says this is actually more protective than the current scholarship model. Scholarships would likely be optional. So players would then have choices like take the salary plus tuition now, take the higher salary, defer school for later, return later on league-funded education. Just like minor league baseball players, European soccer academies, and Olympic training programs. So it's a choice, but it's not coercion.
Hey, Kinetik, real quick. We got an announcement. The Maze Out Sports has entered the chat. I'm upset.
But so then it goes on to talk about eligibility and academic standards. So those will not disappear. They just move into the CBA. So the CBA could include a minimum GPA if enrolled to be able to, be eligible to play, progress toward degree standards, academic support requirements, and limits on practice time during semesters. Because players agree to it under a CBA, it would be 100% legal and enforceable. And then the question of, does this kill the student-athlete ideal? According to ChatGPT, it says it sounds like it, but it honestly probably saves it. So it says right now players are students in name, football dominates their lives, and education is often secondary in practice. A professionalized work model like this would reduce hypocrisy, protect academic freedom, allow real flexibility, and everyone would stop pretending that college football isn't already a job. This would not change much about the sport visually. So uniforms, rivalries, campuses, everything would, effectively stay the same for what we see as the product. But behind the scenes, there would be more roster stability, fewer surprise transfers, clearer rules, and health protection for the players. So summary, employees can still be students. Education would likely become a benefit, not a prerequisite. Players would have more choice, not less. A league employment model avoids many legal issues. This is already common elsewhere in higher education. So it would not kill the student athlete. What are your guys' thoughts?
I don't have anything to really add, but I do have to drop out. I got something I got to take care of, so I will see you guys later.
Well, that's cool. I mean, again, there's not too much to go over it. Keegan, do you want to talk about anything with the portal or Michigan or anything, or otherwise we can just?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so we can end it if you want, but I do have a lot more to say if you want to keep going.
No. We can go as long as people have stuff to talk about. I just don't want to sit up here and waste people's time talking about nothing. So as long as you or if anybody else wants to call in and have stuff they want to talk about with this specifically, but also transfer portal teams, whatever, we can do that too. I'll stay live as long as people want to talk.
Yeah. So Rip made a good point about colleges already have students that are employees, and
Right.
I wrote that off, and he was right about that. So I got to walk that back. But
So is Ripstar talking about like what I was mentioning here with the graduate assistant type stuff?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's using AI as well and putting it into the
Well, no, I
comments, but
I think Ripstar actually has some knowledge on this, but I'm just
he
not
probably
sure.
does.
Is that
Yeah.
the same thing I was already talking about Ripstar, or is that something different? I'm sorry, Keegan, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm wondering. What I'm actually wondering is, like, with this collective bargaining model, is if legislation is going to be required first, um, because no one has financial incentive to make the change themselves in any party. Maybe the NCAA does if they still exist, but to me, it seems like legislation would have to be made first before going through those changes.
So, from what I was able to sort of figure out, and again, I'm not a lawyer, um, legislation is not required to do this, but I think it might happen through legislation, but not in the way that you're asking.
But
Um,
it would get very messy.
I think that what's going to happen is you're going to start to see waning interest from fans, and on the opposite end, you're also going to see waning interest from donors. That's going to cause the sport to sort of die a little bit, and that's going to put the schools, the conferences, into sort of panic mode, where then they reluctantly start moving towards this, and the transition from this to that is going to be messy. And at that point, we will have legislation that will come out of necessity that will sort of help move it along. But again, not a lawyer. I'm just speculating based on what I've been able to sort of search and uncover for myself.
Yeah. So,
So
um,
Ripstar is actually answering this here. So he had an answer for it. So he said new laws are not strictly required, but they would make it safer and easier. How it works: players can bargain if they're legally treated as employees via the courts or NLRB. That can happen without Congress. Why legalization helps: clarifies who employs the players, protects schools from lawsuits, sets national NIL rules, prevents chaos state by state. And he's using AI too. Bottom line: possible without new laws, cleaner and faster with legalization.
yeah, yeah, it's hard to say. I do think that in this model, legislation would be required first, and it's not popular. Like, Trump was very disconnected from what was the issue with college sports, and Nick Saban was involved, and you know who knows what has happened in the past, and so that's probably going to be an unpopular topic, but I do think that in this model, it needs to be legislation first, um, because you're in a death spiral of no one has financial incentive to change, yet there needs to be a change. So I don't know how you go from A to B. So unless you want to talk about this some more, we could talk about, like, are there other answers that could work?
So I'm not aware of other answers. I know Ripstar put or somebody, I think it was Ripstar. It might have been somebody else put earlier that there were a couple other options that give more freedom but less stability. Um, I don't think that they're viable from what I've read. But again, um, you know, casual knowledge of it. Um, I don't think that any solution without a CBA is really viable. Now, the CBA can vary greatly in how much structure it provides. So it could be very down to the detail, or it could be very bare bones. But I don't think that we save college football or rebuild it from the crash that it's careening towards right now without a CBA.
I think there is another way. It- it- the I think the TV contracts for the ACC and the Big 12 change over in 2031. So we could go through this death spiral for a few years, and there could be the two conference thing, and then they kick out the NCAA, and then two conferences. Like when you sign to a school, you're under those two conferences, and you agree to their rules similarly to any agreements that you enter into with becoming a student athlete in the NCAA. So that that I think is
But
a potential road that could work.
but that gets struck down without a CBA, as it's already been doing under the current NCAA model. So I just asked again, Chat GPT, and so I said, "Is there any real non-CBA alternative?" It says, "Short answer, not really. At least not one that both stabilizes the sport and survives the courts." Long answer, there are partial, temporary, or cosmetic fixes, but every true non-CBA alternative either collapses under legal challenge, fails to stop the money transfer chaos, or quietly morphs into a CBA anyway.
Well, the problem with the making people professionals is like how far does that envelope expand? Is it are you even a student athlete anymore?
Yeah,
So
well, that's
it
what we
could
talked about earlier.
right, right, but it could go that road if you choose that model. It could go that road, and that's actually the way I see it going is that they would no longer be student athletes, and you'd have like affiliate semi-pro teams.
Well,
So
I don't think it'll ever completely separate from the student athlete, but in the thing I was reading earlier, it outlined how there could be like it'd be like an optional thing, right? So like you could like if you're an athlete coming out of high school, right? Um, let me see if I can find it again, but effectively, like you could choose to be a student athlete, um, and have your compensation as a player include the scholarship part, right? And then again, this would be an option, an opt-in sort of thing, where the CBA would still have could have language written into it to govern, semester practice time, stuff like that. But then it could be an option that you could, instead of taking the tuition now, you could just take a higher salary now without the tuition, without the student athlete part, um, and just basically be a semi-pro athlete without the school part. Or you could do sort of a hybrid thing where you take the tuition as part of your compensation, but you defer the student part until after your time playing is done and come back to school. So then you're not doing the two at the same time. And it could be in the CBA where, hey, we're signing you to the team. Which option, which path do you want to go to? Either way, you're playing on Saturdays. I don't think you'll see that ever get fully divorced from the student athlete, but I think it could become an optional path.
yeah, I think at any rate, I mean personally, I think most people would probably feel this way that we all have portal fatigue, and college football is not what it was. So something needs to happen. So I don't know the answer, and like you said, you're not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer either. But somebody, somebody's got to do something about this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. You can wrap it, or we can talk about other things if you want.
Well, so I'm trying to catch up here. I was going to bring up the latest addition in the portal,
Yeah.
but there's some confusion about this.
So Michigan football posted on X that they got Christian. What's his name? Last name on
Pierce.
X.
It's Trey Pierce's brother.
Are you sure on that?
Yeah.
Is it the Western Illinois guy?
Yeah, brother Rice, Illinois, 6 foot 236, Christian Pierce. But there appears to be some kind of I don't know. Hold on. Confusion on his stats and what?
Yeah, earlier there was literally no news. I don't know. I haven't kept up since we've been on it here.
Yeah, I don't. So okay, so I'm sorry. Effectively, we apparently got a commitment from Christian Pierce, the brother of current defensive lineman Trey Pierce. But there was apparently two Christian Pierces on Western Illinois football's roster, and so some of the stats that are being put around that he recorded it's not him. So wait,
Yeah,
is
I
this the
tried to
right
look, and
Christian Pierce that is Trey Pierce's brother? I'm assuming it's his brother, but
every person
um,
I looked up wasn't number one, and the Michigan Post was the player's number was number one.
okay. And here's something we just hired a new offensive assistant coach, Luke Batari. Don't know much about him, but his X profile says offensive assistant coach at UMich football. Excited to join the offensive staff at the University of Michigan. Thankful for the coaching opportunity at Utah. So it's another guy we're bringing over from Utah. The school where I played, earned 2 degrees in a place I called home. However, fired up for the future. Go Blue. Let's get to work. Ripstar, find out what was Luke Batari's job at Utah. What did he coach? Was he a position coach, an assistant, an analyst? It says he played at Utah and graduated from Utah. But yeah, breaking news: Luke Batari, newest member of Michigan's football staff.
Um, any news on Salisi Moa?
I haven't seen anything yet. Let me see if there's been any updates.
Do you want to talk about what we talked about last night about where he would be in what his role would be in the receiver room?
I mean, we can. In my opinion, I think if you've got Andrew Marsh and Jamie French, who are very similar and in their skill sets, and they can play outside or in, you put one inside, you will put one outside. So you play Andrew Marsh on the boundary. If Mo is going to play wide receiver, and I haven't seen any, again, Moa has not technically committed yet, so grain of sand. But if he commits to Michigan, and if he's going to play both ways or what, I don't know. Our previous staff only recruited him, I think, on defense, but he committed to Utah under the impression he was going to play safety and wide receiver both ways. He just entered the portal from Utah, expected to go to Michigan. We have a need at both safety and receiver, so maybe he plays both ways. If he does, based on his skill set, and that I believe he would be the fastest wide receiver in the receiver room, I would put him
Yeah.
on the opposite boundary side, opposite Andrew Marsh, and I would have Jamie French and JJ Buchanan playing in the slot. Of course, when you need to rotate Marsh or Moa out for snaps or plays or whatever, you could then rotate French over, and you got Buchanan right there in the slot. Um, Based on what I've seen of Jason Beck's offense and the fact that Whittingham said he wants to run a spread offense with 11 personnel, my knowledge of a spread offense, you want opposite your wide receiver one, you want your fastest receiver. You want a burner to be able to create high-low concepts, crosser concepts across the field and spread everybody out. That's where I see Moa fitting in. That's my personal opinion. But I also think that we might be seeing, you know how for years, especially with the Jesse Minter, Wink Martindale style defense, even again, Homer take, Brian Flores for the Minnesota Vikings, you're seeing this positionless defense model, right? Example, Josh Metellus, as I've brought this up to you before, has taken snaps at 9 out of 11 positions on defense for the Vikings. We might be about to see something like that on offense. Not quite all 11 positions. I don't think you can do this with offensive line. But we've got guys that, I mean, if you're a defensive coordinator and you see Marsh, French, JJ Buchanan, Hogan Hansen, what are you sending out? Are you sending out base? Are you sending out nickel? Are you sending out dime? What are you sending out? Do you look at JJ and say he's a slot receiver or a tight end? Like, what are you doing? And if we can move Marsh and French and Moa all around to different positions on different packages, different plays, it's almost going to be like a positionless weapons defense or offense. Excuse me. We have the great Marmarski has joined us, although I think maybe I don't know if his camera's on. Marmar, can you hear us? All right, doesn't look like it. We'll come back to him. Marmar, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. But Keegan, what are your thoughts on how French and Marsh will fit into it? Marmar, if
So
you're still listening, call back in, man. I couldn't hear you. We couldn't see anything.
yeah, so from what I can tell, Marsh and French are very similar. They're the same size. Um, Marmar, you back? Anyway,
Marmar, you're frozen. See if you can fix your
in,
camera, brother.
anyway, they're the same size. They both have great hands. Both are kind of slow on their 40 times. I think I'm not sure on that. Both have bad 100 times. But look at the effectiveness of Marsh. He can adjust to the ball. From what I've seen on the tape, French is exactly the same way. Slow 40 time, slow 100 time, good adjustment on the ball, good hands. So from what I see on the tape, they're the same player. Now, yeah, the report is he's got some burst. So that's a little bit different. Um, so I don't know to
According to
like.
Google, none of the three receivers have official 40 times recorded.
Well, I mean, I saw it. French
It might
was
have been
was
on
at
the
a 4.6 and over 11.
so
I'm just
so
going
we
off
see
my
Moa
memory.
has a 4.45 40 listed on his
Sub
high school
11.
bio. But there's some confusion on
He's
whether
sub
it was
11 too.
4.45 or 4.55. But Marsh and
It's
French do not have
4.4.
publicly reported official or verified 40-yard dashes.
Yeah, but it's all about effectiveness at being a receiver. Like you don't have to be incredibly fast. You just have to be able to adjust to the ball and have great hands and run
Right.
good routes. So I think effectively they're the same style of player. Um, but as far as like scouting report is, French has better burst than Marsh. Um, so I would like as far as like schematically, if we get Moa, Salisi Moa, I would I'd put him in at the slot because you got two steady-handed receivers that can adjust to the ball on the outside, um, and then you got your slot receiver that is a burner. So JJ Buchanan, he's a beast. He'll be doing some inside stuff too, obviously. But yeah, that's what I got on that.
Marmar, check your mic. See if we can hear you, brother. Marmar. I don't think Marmar can hear us. Somebody text Marmar, tell him that he can't hear us. But so real quick, Ripstar answered my question earlier. Batari was an offensive assistant coach at Utah. He's going to have the same position at Michigan. Yes, I knew that about Megatron. Marmar, can
I
you hear us?
texted Marmon.
I don't think you can hear us.
Well, anyway, so do you have any thoughts on linebacker and defensive line?
Wait, Marmar, can you hear us? Okay, we still can't hear you. Did you have thoughts you want to share?
I like what the coaching staff doing, man. I just love it.
What's your favorite move that they've made so far?
All of them. They're getting guys that have proven themselves. I just think let's give it time to see what this coaching staff do. Kyle Winningham been around for 30 years. I think that's a plus. I think that gives him. I just think they just let that work out. I think he know what he's doing. Like he said, we ain't gonna become them. They're gonna become us. I
Right.
think he's standing on business. They had that team meeting this morning. So you see guys coming back. So evidently something right. Something
So
went right.
all right, so I'm gonna go by this list that the Winged Helmet has put out because he's done a really good job of keeping
One
everything
more
open.
minute.
So first, I'm gonna ask you, and I'll ask Keegan too this because he's coming back up. So Marmar, and then Keegan, I'll ask you for the same here. I'm gonna list off the guys that we're losing to the NFL. I want your opinion on who you think is the biggest loss out of this group going to the NFL. So we got declaring for the NFL, we got
Rotor,
Big Guy,
rotor,
Jimmy
rotor.
Roller, Rayshawn Benny, Max Bredesen, Jay Barham, Derek Moore, Gio El Hadi, Marlon Klein, Dominic Zavada, Donovan McCulley, and Greg Crippen. Who is the biggest loss to the Wolverines team?
Rotor.
Keegan, what do you think?
Roller.
I'm gonna say I think the biggest loss is Max Bredesen.
Yeah,
I
I get
think
all that,
I
but
think
I think
I think
that
he was the emotional leader of the team.
I think we have that in Jordan Marshall.
Think so?
Yeah, he's that guy. He is that guy. Trust me.
All right. So now I'm gonna list the guys that we have leaving in the portal that we've lost in the portal that have committed elsewhere. Okay.
And they the biggest loss, Cole Sullivan. That's it.
Well, well, let me name it off, and people in the chat can
Okay.
put their thoughts too. So we lost Jaden Mangum, went to Purdue. Davis Warren went to Stanford. Samaj Morgan, UCLA. Jasper Parker to Arkansas. Cole Sullivan to Oklahoma. Connor Jones, Georgia State. Caden Strayhorn and Ty Haywood both went to Alabama. Our kickoff guy, Beckham Sunderland, went to Minnesota. Mikey Keene to Arizona State. Ben Roebuck, Western Michigan. Frederick Moore went to MSU. Brady Priestcorn, Ole Miss. I think his brother's there. Devin Baxter, Virginia. Jaden Sanders to Notre Dame. TJ Metcalf to Tennessee. I would assume Tevis Metcalf follows him. Elijah Dotson just earlier tonight committed to Missouri. And I have heard, but I don't think it's been made official, that Brandon Hillman is going to Virginia. So out of them, who do you think is the biggest loss?
Sullivan.
I would probably agree. I think if you unless you count the Buckeye killer Davis Warren going to Stanford, I think it's Sullivan.
Do y'all want to talk about linebacker and defensive line?
We can, but let me finish this real quick. So there's a couple quick things, but I do want to touch on
listening tapes.
No, hold on. So these are the players that have
what tapes?
These are the players that have declared for the portal, but have not committed yet elsewhere. If you could have one of them back, which one would you choose? So we got
Sullivan.
Justice Haynes. No, they have not committed. Justice Haynes, Bryson Kuzdal, Eno Etta, Jaden Davis, Logan Forbes, Jadon Hood,
You got me.
or Marmar's guy, Peyton O'Leary.
That's my guy, Peyton O'Leary. But Justin Haynes.
Justice Haynes, you bring him back?
Haynes.
Hey, what's going on
the
with
way
that?
you frame,
because hold on,
the
he
way
left
you frame the question,
and he ain't committed nowhere.
No. So he's expected to go to Georgia Tech, but that hasn't been confirmed for sure yet, and there are other teams that are calling. So I'm actually going to agree with Ripstar here. I think with where our running back room is now, I don't think that we need Justice Haynes as much. I think that the biggest benefit to come back for us would probably be Eno Etta on the defense.
Etta, yep. But he is coming back. They're working on that now.
Again, it's not been official, but
I know somebody that knows. Hold on though, Kinetik. But I know someone that is in the group chat with him that, they working on bringing him back.
I know, but I don't want to report it until it's done.
It ain't. I ain't reporting it. I'm just saying they working on him bringing it back. That's not reporting.
All right,
that's just
Keegan,
telling you that they working.
What are you saying, Keegan? That how I framed it? What did I say incorrectly?
What?
Well, the way you framed the question, it wasn't like banking on losses. It was like, who would you want to have back the most? And for me, that would be Justice Haynes. But like, if you lose Cole Sullivan and you don't replace him, it's obviously going to be Cole Sullivan.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense. All right, guys that have committed to Michigan. Who is the biggest pickup? So we just had Christian Pierce. We got Smith Snowden, Colin Hurley, a quarterback from LSU, Christopher Bracey, the DB from Memphis, who the staff seems to be like really high on. Max Alford, linebacker from BYU, Tony Alford's nephew. Braden Alford, a wide receiver from Butler. It's Tony's son, I believe. Offensive lineman from Nebraska, Houston. I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Ka'aina Torres. JJ Buchanan, you know him. Braden Fowler Nicolosi, quarterback from Colorado State. Jamie French, wide receiver from Texas. Jonah Leia, again, probably butchered that. I apologize. Defensive line from Utah. John Henry Daly, edge from Utah. Taylor Tatum, running back from Oklahoma. Trey Bukowski, kicker from Pitt. Nico Crawford, the long snapper from Pitt. Or Cameron Brown, the punter from UNLV. Who is the biggest take, in your opinion, for Michigan so far?
You want to go, Marmar?
Marmar, you're muted.
I got Buchanan.
Yeah, I got Buchanan too. He's a big get. We needed a tight end like that. Tight end / receiver.
I'm gonna go with JJ Buchanan as well. I mean, what he showed in the bowl game was electric. I probably would go with John Henry Daly if he wasn't injured, and we'll have to see how he bounces back in his first, season back from that injury.
Wait, let's go number 2, Marmar. You got John Henry Daly as your 2. I'll take Smith Snowden.
Same. He's a dog. I like Smith Snowden.
Okay,
but
so
I also like this line. I like this linebacker. I know he was at the FCF level, but people got to stop putting. Oh, because they played at the FCF. Carson Wentz went to a Super Bowl before he got injured. Okay, Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. Oh, Jerry Rice won multiple Super Bowls. Emmitt Smith won multiple Super Bowls.
Yep.
All these people that came from FCF level schools.
So let me ask you a question.
I like the linebacker.
On Smith Snowden, do you guys so we got Jair Hill back, we got Zeke Berry back, we got Smith Snowden now. Samari Earls has not entered the portal. So how are you setting the depth chart for corners, for nickel corner, since we're going to be running a 4-2-5 again? Do you still have Jair Hill and Zeke Berry as the boundary corners? Do you move Zeke to nickel, Smith Snowden at the boundary? How do you rotate Shamari? What are you guys doing with Mason Curtis? What are your guys' thoughts?
You put Mercer Curtis in as a linebacker. That's what you recruited.
Maybe.
That's what you recruited him as.
That's not the question, though.
Well, we can get into that in a second, Marmar, because I actually brought that up with Keegan recently. But the question is, Jair Hill, Smith Snowden, Zeke
never
Berry,
talk to me like that again. I'm gonna punch you in that.
Zeke Berry, Shamari Earls, Mason Curtis.
I love Keegan, bro.
How are you rotating corners and nickel corner?
Keegan, I'll be talking to Taves like that too.
You better not be talking to me like that.
Hey, I'll talk to both of y'all like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, Taves just said I better be ready to back it up.
All right. Hey, Marmar. 2 boundary corners, nickel corner. How are you setting that up on your depth chart?
I like Jair. I'm going with my homie. I'm real close with Jair. That's my guy. So I'm gonna take Jair, and I like Zeke Berry. I'm close with him too. That's my guy. I gave him a pack of Reese Pieces one day. And then Smith Snowden play him at nickel. Do you rotate him? You rotate him and Samari Earls as nickel.
I know you weren't about to say Samaj Morgan at nickel.
Yeah, Samaj Morgan, man, bring him back. I miss him.
Hey, so you're saying keep Zeke Berry as the other boundary corner and run Smith Snowden as the nickel?
Because people fail to realize if you watch BYU this year, Jay Hill know how to use what's the motherfucking defensive back coach name? Guilford?
Gennario Guilford, I think.
Yeah. He had good corners. He got good corners. The receivers wasn't beating Utah. I mean BYU and the Texas Tech thing. Did they beat Utah? It was the run game.
So I'll say this. I was wrong in the conversations that I had with you before, Keegan. I thought Smith Snowden played boundary mostly at Utah. He actually played more nickel. He apparently started 11 games at nickel in the 2024 season and played all games at the nickel for the recent one. So I guess under that, you still run Zeke Berry at boundary corner unless you think Shamari Earls has stepped up.
The Memphis guy too.
Yeah, well, he's more safety, I think. And I was thinking that we would move Zeke back to like a safe nickel safety, if we brought Smith Snowden in. But now that we have Bracey, I guess they probably do keep Zeke Berry at boundary corner. It just kind of worries me because he got beat a lot this last year.
But we don't know what this staff is going to correct though.
Yeah.
Like Kyle Whittingham said, like he said on the 3 Gay Man show, with Urban Meyer.
Why you got to do Mark Ingram like that, bro?
Because Mark Ingram a bitch. Talking shit about Michigan all the time. Fuck that nigga. And you from Flint. Yeah, man. Like Kyle Whittingham said, it's crazy that they didn't have a quarterback coach for Underwood coming out of high school, but you know, Sharon Moore, I got him.
Well, I mean, and we talked about that on a weekly basis. It was like how is Bryce Underwood coming off the field and going and sitting by himself? Nobody talking to him, nobody going over stuff with him. Like that was in my opinion,
Sharon Moore was talking to other people. He wasn't talking to the team.
Listen, okay, you're right, and this does fall on Sharon Moore, but I think it also falls more on Chip Lindsey. You're the offensive coordinator.
Hold on. But I'm about to explain that to you.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me explain why I'm saying this. Chip Lindsey, when he took the offensive coordinator job, insisted that he would be offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He insisted on having that second title because it gave him more money in his contract. For him to do that and then not employ an analyst, assistant QB coach to handle that job, and then to coach from the press box or from the skybox, that's on him. If you're going to insist on being the QB's coach and not have an assistant whose entire job is to coach Bryce Underwood on the sideline, then you need to be on the sideline doing it.
It's off topic though. We're still talking about the defense.
That's true.
All right, now let me rebuttal to that real quick, Keegan. So I just read an article where Chip Lindsey did want to do all that, but Sharon Moore kept handcuffing the motherfucker, kept telling people no, we don't need a quarterback coach. We don't need that. I don't need you to do that. I just need you to run plays. And then when he tried to let him run plays, he wouldn't even let him run plays. Then the Belleville coach, quarterback coach of Bryce Underwood, came out and just said recently that I volunteered to come on the staff to help Bryce be his quarterback coach. And Sharon Moore said no, it's on Sharon Moore that didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and then let this boy, like I was at the Ohio State game. Compared to the games that I went to, before that, I went to the Ohio State game. That motherfucker threw that interception. He reached out and grabbed Andrew Marsh. Nobody went over there. I'm standing behind the bench and I said, Bryce, hold your head up. He looked at me like a little boy with tears in his eyes because he wanted to be great, but they weren't trying to make him great because they kept being incompetent.
So I'll agree with the you know that he limited the play calling he
said he kept saying no to quarterback coaching.
Okay.
He kept telling them no.
I don't know the whole thing about his high school coach, but I highly doubt
his coach came out and said it.
I highly doubt Sharon Moore was telling Chip Lindsey that you have to coach
he was.
From the skybox. Hold on.
Yeah. He told him no. He told him fucking no. I'm sorry,
let me finish what I'm saying.
You think that you know it all, but
let me finish what I'm saying.
The fact is that he kept telling him no.
I'm
He kept saying no.
Okay, let me finish what I'm saying though. Like, don't interrupt me. I don't believe that Sharon Moore was telling Chip Lindsey you have to call plays from the skybox because every job that Chip Lindsey's ever had as a coordinator, he's called plays from the skybox. I understand that's where he's comfortable, but if you're not allowed to have a quarterback coach, if you insisted on being the quarterback coach with your offensive coordinator title, and then they're not letting you hire or assign an assistant coach to be your assistant quarterbacks coach with Bryce on the sideline, then bring your ass out of the skybox, get on the sideline, and do your job. And I highly doubt yes, I admit that Sharon made a lot of stupid mistakes and calls, but I highly doubt he's telling Chip Lindsey, you're not allowed to coach the quarterback, even though you're the quarterback's coach.
All
He
right,
probably
so
told him you can't have an assistant coach.
Well, I'm gonna send you the article where they came out and
let's
said
finish
that.
let's finish the defense.
Yeah,
because that's more important right now.
Right. So what do you got, Keegan?
I would put Jair as boundary. Zeke at the other corner. Nickel's tough. We're so deep at DB. I kind of want to hit on linebacker. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, do we have enough depth, and do we have starters at linebacker?
So we've got at linebacker, and this is going to be some true freshmen, but as of right now, our quarterback or our linebacker room in 2026 will be Troy Bowles, and not necessarily in this order. Nathaniel Wusu-Boateng, Chase Taylor, I'm mind blanking right now. Sorry. Chase Taylor, the transfers that we brought in, Alford from BYU, Christian Pierce, supposedly, again, it's expected, but it's not been confirmed, Isiamoa, Salisi's brother. And then we'll also have Markel Dabney, Caden Catchings, Aiden Reeder, and I know I'm forgetting somebody. I know that I'm forgetting somebody.
There's
I
Jaden
appreciate
Hood.
you, Anthony. Appreciate you, man.
Jaden Hood.
Well, Jaden Hood has entered the portal. He has not committed elsewhere. They may still bring him back, but I'm not counting him until he comes back. So, what is that, 7 or 8 guys? I know I'm forgetting somebody. But I personally, and I mentioned this to you, Marmar's right. They did originally recruit Mason Curtis, I thought, as a linebacker, moved him to corner pretty quickly because he's 6'5" and has the speed to play corner. I think, and again, this is purely speculation, but Jay Hill, like Jesse Minner in the 4-2-5, likes those big, tall, fast safeties. I could see them playing Mason Curtis in rotation at safety, but also letting him sort of rotate down into the box if he can put on some muscle and retain his speed and tackling, and playing that sort of what do they call it, the Viper safety linebacker hybrid role. I could see him doing that. But again, as I pointed out to you the other night, Wink's version of the Amoeba defense heavily utilized 3 linebackers, even if sometimes it was a safety playing in the box as a linebacker. Jesse Minner was more 4-2-5. Jay Hill is 4-2-5. So we're going to have fewer true linebackers on the field at any given time. With Wink, we were constantly rotating Barham down and then playing Rolder and Sullivan or some combination of them, Houseman. But we're going to have fewer true linebackers on the field with the 4-2-5, more nickel. I could see Mason Curtis playing that Viper role. Am I using the Viper role correctly? I get them confused sometimes, but
Yeah, you are.
but I could see Mason Curtis playing that role.
We got Marmar. We got it.
Marmar
what do you
fighting
got
for
at
his life in
linebacker?
Warzone right now. For me or for you trying to get Marmar's attention?
I'm just trying to ask Marmar, but
Marmar, can you hear us? Can't hear you. Marmar, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Go ahead.
Keegan's asking you, what do you got at linebacker?
I like the linebackers that we have right now.
Who's your starters? 4-2-5 defense. Who's your starters? Who's the 2 deep?
Bowles and Nathaniel Wusu-Boateng.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
Because
so
I
too.
think I think people sleeping on Alex Willingham.
So I don't know if you guys heard earlier, Taylor Lewan was in a space and he was talking about how Biff Poggi mentioned to him prior to the bowl game that the staff was very high on some of the underneath guys on the depth chart, and he specifically mentioned Nathaniel Wusu-Boateng, Chase Taylor.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that we're going to see them really step up this year. And I gotta assume that, Jay Hill and Kyle Whittingham got in there, took a look at them, and said, okay, these guys can play. And that's why they haven't been super aggressive on linebackers.
I think they whiffed at linebacker.
Okay, so Anthony Manzano, new subscriber. He's a Hurricanes fan. He's asking. He said, "Guys, I should look out for that. Guys that I should look out for from Michigan that are coming into the portal for the guys as a Hurricanes fan, either on the line of scrimmage or linebacker, or replace what we're losing after netting." So, Anthony, to answer your question,
Where is it?
I'm gonna mute Marmar for a second. So to answer your question, Anthony, the guys that are from Michigan's team that are currently in the portal that have not committed or withdrawn from the portal, you got Justice Haynes, an electric running back. It's currently expected that he goes to Georgia Tech. He's from Georgia, but I could see Miami getting in on him. Tevis Metcalf's a pretty cool DB, but he's probably following his brother to Tennessee. Brandon Hillman is a hard-hitting safety, kind of oversells for the big plays a little bit, but if he can get his technique a little under control, he's a fan favorite. He's currently in the portal. I have seen him predicted to Virginia, but it hasn't been official yet. Bryson Kuzdal is an underrated running back. Was a walk-on, played his way into significant playing time this season. Eno Etta is currently expected to come back. He's the only defensive lineman that we have in the portal. He's expected to come back, but he would be good. He's kind of like that tweener that moved from edge to interior. Jaden Davis, backup quarterback, probably not what you guys are looking for. A pair of wide receivers, Logan Forbes, Peyton O'Leary, might be additions for depth, but I don't think that they would start for Miami. And then Jaden Hood, linebacker. Again, he's been mostly a depth guy, could potentially start in the right system for the right team. We don't know what he's doing yet. But, I mean, I don't see any, significant game changers that have been rumored to Miami or anything.
Yeah, I'd like to get I'd like to get a splash, get at linebacker, but it may not happen, and I'm okay with just seeing if it develops, but it does suck. Do you want to move on to D-line?
Yeah. What do you Ripstar, I completely forgot about Julius Holly.
And just so you know, my phone's gonna die.
You're good. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on the D-line. I'm gonna look into the Julius Holly if he ever played linebacker.
Yeah, he's an edge.
He is, but I don't know if he's the type of edge that could drop into coverage and play that hybrid role.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. Is there a edge that can drop back to linebacker? I'm actually okay with the D line. I would like to get a splash move, but I'm okay. Linebacker's my main concern.
Okay, so according to this, he is played primarily stand-up pass rusher on the edge in high school and listed as an edge for Michigan. But his skill set does give him the versatility to be a Jack or Sam linebacker. Um, there's a comp here that I found where someone comped him to a player from Georgia, Nolan Smith, that played a similar role. So there's the potential. I couldn't think of one when we talked about it before, Keegan. There's your potential edge player that could play linebacker.
Yeah, okay. Good catch, Rip.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out Ripstar for that one. I completely forgot about Julius Holly when I was going through the list of or in my head. All right, so D line. I don't know, man. I think we need Etta back. I think we need that depth at the interior. Edge rushers. I like the potential of a lot of our edge rushers. Nate Marshall, Edic Paye, Julius Holly. Maybe Meadows is able to step up in his freshman year. Maybe we see some growth from Pale Pale. I know we still got Dom Nichols, Cam Brandt. I think they're a little bit of a different style of edge. I think
Maybe
we need
Titan Davis. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Titan Davis, Alistair Vallejo, I think they're both going to be really good, but I don't know if they're going to be ready year one. I don't know Prescott Burgess very well, so Ripstar's comping Holly to Prescott Burgess. I don't remember him very well, so
He's a safety from like 10 years ago.
gotcha. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see probably two more guys on the D line if we don't get Etta back, but I don't think that they need to necessarily be starters. I don't know that there's a true like starter level. I mean, we brought in like Leia. We brought in was he the only D line guy that we brought in so far? Well, John Henry Daly, he's an edge, but yeah, so I think Leia, again, I'm probably saying his name wrong. It's Leia. I wish Kyoki was in the chat to correct me on this. But he's the only D-line guy we brought in. He played at Nebraska. Let's see if I can pull up his stats. Or wait, what was the other guy that we brought in? Hold on. No, wait, he was an offensive lineman, I think, right? The other Torres. Yeah, he's an offensive lineman. Leia Aya. Okay, he did not record any stats for the 25 season. Let's see. Oh no, he did. Okay, I was looking at the wrong spot. Okay. So Leia has 42 career total tackles, 24 solo, 1 sack, and 2.5 tackles for loss. The vast majority of those came in this past season for Utah. So I think Keegan's phone cut out. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream. This is where I've got a couple other things I got to attend to. The main point of the stream was to go over the NIL complications and getting to a CBA. So we went over that, sort of touched on Michigan's transfer portal. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that joined in on the conversation. Ripstar, you added a lot to the chat. Appreciate that. The new subscribers we got, appreciate you. Again, just to reiterate, we did go live tonight on both the Gamer Sideline and on Kinetik 615. My personal channel, you can follow me everywhere on social media at Kinetik 615. If you get a chance, please check out the QR code. It'll take you to my GoFundMe. I'm currently going through a lot with myself and my mother with some medical issues and being unable to work. I could really use the help. Quick update for those that are aware and been following along with what's going on with my GoFundMe. The arbitration date, which should have happened last month in December, got pushed back to March, late March, because of the government shutdown. I should have the arbitration hearing late March, assuming that I get approved. I should start to get my disability benefits in May or June. So I'm still asking for help from anyone that's able to help us to keep bills paid, to keep food on the table, gas in the car, to get myself and my mother, me to my physical therapy and then my surgeries, my mother for her cancer treatments. Any help is appreciated. Also, sharing the link out on social media helps. It is in the QR code here. It should be in the description of the video, and it's also pinned at the top of my X profile. Anybody, if you want, you feel free to shoot me a message on social media. Happy to answer any questions about it and be transparent with it. And if you don't want GoFundMe to take a cut of your donation, I can also provide my Cash App or Venmo if you want to make a direct contribution. But any help is appreciated. And again, I appreciate everybody that tunes in, comments, likes the video, shares it, and just gives that interaction. But we're going to go ahead and sign out here, guys. Remember to be kind to each other. Sports, gaming, whatever you're doing, rivalries, it's fun. Don't be hateful. Don't be disrespectful. And for me, guys, until next time, as always, it's Skull Vikes and Go Blue.
From joystick dreams to Friday night lights, it's controllers and cleats under podcast mics with Life Max dropping deep like he's throwing a bomb, and Kinetik calling audible, staying calm in the storm. From the field to the sticks, yeah, we bring the heat. With Kinetik and Leash Max, never miss a beat. When the final whistle blows or the credits roll, we're signing off strong, that's how gamers take control. Catch us on the sideline, where legends chill, where the playbooks flip and the passion's real. If you heard the takes, then you know the drill. Till next time, fam, keep it clutch, keep it skill. From the field to the sticks, yeah, we bring the heat. With Kinetik and Lich Max, never miss a beat. When the headset's off and the lights go low, we'll be back next game, y'all already know. We out.